area of a circle. So the area of a circle is equal to pi times radius squared. So what does that really all mean? So pi is actually a number. So it actually is a relationship between the circumference and the diameter. So it's always going to be a certain number that comes out to be. So it's always going to be this number. And it kind of continues on forever. So it starts out with 3.14 and just keeps going. So it has to do with the relationship of the circle, and it's very important. Now, diameter. So when we think about this, when we look at a circle, it's what goes straight through the origin. It goes from one side to the other. So it's just that's right there, right? And it could look anywhere, right? It could also look like right here, but the point is it has to go through the origin. It goes from one side to the other. Now, the radius is half of the diameter. So when we look at another circle, right, it's going to be from the origin, and it can be any point from the origin, right? So it can look anywhere, right? It doesn't matter. It goes from the origin and goes out to the side, right, in a straight line. And so these are the key terms. And so when we look at the area, right, of a circle, right, it's area equals pi r squared. So that's usually how it's displayed, which means pi times r squared. Now, that's the radius and that's squared. So let's go ahead and start to solve. So, example 1, the cylinder's diameter is 4 inches. So let's find the area of the top of the cylinder. So we're finding this whole area, right? This whole thing. Now if we look at area, which is equal to pi r squared, well, we don't have the radius, but we can solve for it, right? If it's half the diameter, so if we take 4, radius is equal to 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 2. So let's go ahead and start to solve them. So we have A, which is the area, pi. Now, here's one thing. We can either put in pi in our calculator, or it can be 3.14. Walmart will take either answer. And if it doesn't, make sure you let the instructor know. So we have pi r squared, and what's the radius? Well, that's 2 squared. So let's go ahead and get our calculator. So I'm going to show you. So if we go pi, this little pi button right here, see how it continues on forever with the numbers, and it continues to do so. So we have pi, and now we have times 2 times 2, right? Because that means we have 2 copies of 2, and we just multiply them all together. And we get 12.57. This is inches squared. Now, what if we did area, right, is equal to this? So what if instead we put 3.14? I just want to show you. So 3.14 times 2 is equal to 12.56. So notice how we only differ here on the hundredth. And that makes sense because this pi button on the calculator, right, uses a lot more numbers, so it should have a little bit higher of a number. But they're very similar, so that's why you can use either one. You can use the pi button or just use 3.14 when solving. Now, let's go ahead and look at the next example. So example 2, the gasoline's tank diameter is 10 inches. So what is the area? Well, if area is equal to pi r squared, the diameter is 10 inches, so our radius is going to be 10 divided by 2, because we just need to cut it in half, right? Because then that would just be this, like this part right here. That's equal to 5. So area is equal to pi and then 5 squared. We'll get our calculators out. So let's use the pi button. Times 5 times 5. So we got 78.54. We'll round to the nearest hundredth, and that would be inches squared.